Good evening, everyone. Welcome today to today's Founders Talk on go-to-market strategy and branding. Two very important aspects for marketing, for startups, for businesses to scale and grow. And we have none other than Professor Dwarika Prasad Onyal, a revered professor in marketing with huge experience across sectors and across sizes of businesses. He himself, being a poet, has been into radio and advertising and also in retailing. And then he moved into academics with experiences from MICA Ahmedabad, SP Jain, IIM Kashipur, and now he's our dean at Flame University. With this huge experience of more than 20 years across several ventures, of which two are his own incubated ventures, and he is also a mentor and advisor to many young startups. So we have the right person with us to talk about the importance of marketing and how a startup can take this forward, go to the market and create a brand which can challenge the existing market. So over to you, Professor Unyal. We are eager to hear about your experiences and how we all can benefit from it.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Professor Damani. You've been very kind in giving a very kind introduction. So first thing first, whatever we market, whatever we say, not necessarily that is true, but except the fact that, yes, we are all bundle of our experiences. So what I will do today is that not necessarily share my expertise in these areas, but try and pick up threads from a series of experiences around us, series of examples around us, and how do we go about creating a brand. And then, of course, if brand is not present in the market, then there is no brand there itself. So whatever the marketplace or market space we talk about is something what we really need to create an understanding of it, that whatever we have created, either in terms of products, services, or ideas, how do we ensure that it reaches the intended target audience? Having said that, the classical model of marketing, which most of you would know, and many of us have taught it for many years, and many of us have learned it through books, through others, is the classical marketing mix model. And many times people come around with new ideas and says the 4 Ps are no longer relevant. The segmentation, targeting, positioning is dead. I think perspectives are different, but the basics of doing a business has remained, the fundamentals have remained exactly the same. The jargons might change, the context might change, but fundamentals of a particular business, no matter what business you are in, does not change. A business needs an idea. That idea needs a soul and a skin in terms of products or services. And that needs an intended audience or a customer base to reach to. So the whole idea which we talk today is all about creating value to that set of intended customers. Who are those customers? Where are they from? What do they like? What do they don't like? Where do they live? What do they expect? How do they shop? Is the whole gamut of understanding consumers and developing consumer insights around them. And the purpose of marketing is to reach out to this set of people in an interesting way so that transaction becomes incidental. They would have already bought you and your idea, your thought process. Products and services become incidental in that sense. So today what I will do is just share a few thoughts and ideas about building a startup brand, and then try and see, depending on what segment of business you are in, how do you go about creating a marketplace and space for yourself and making your brand available to your set of customers. So let's start with this question. And my suggestion would be either on chat or on Q&A. I want this to be interactive. So whatever questions I'm asking, or any ideas I'm sharing, be prompt in replying to that. At the same time, be very open in questioning my hypothesis here. You can crush me, kill me, say, Prof, you're going completely way tangent. This is not how things happen or would have happened in my life or my businesses, or this is not what I've read, because this is an open forum and this is a different diverse group of people who are there, very experienced students. Please go ahead, because we want this more of an exchange of ideas and thought processes. So please go ahead. So first question I would have for you guys: have you ever wondered why some startup launches are things of beauty while others fail to meet the mark? So I quickly want you guys to set up and tell me on your chat boxes your ideas why this happens. Either on chat or on Q&A, just quickly throw your ideas on what do you think this happens. Some launches happen great, some launches completely tank. Very quickly, let me see if some of you respond back to this. Yes, something has come. Very good. They're in sweet spot, Anil. Value and timing. Okay, how do you identify that sweet spot, Anil? That's the question, right? So could you elaborate it further on that? How do you find that sweet spot? In retrospect, yes, that's a sweet spot. But when you are setting this up, how do you need? That's a sweet one. That's exactly is the one. This is, unless you try it out, बिना मरे स्वर्ग नहीं मिलता, तो इसमें करना पड़ता है. Then you figure it out whether you're doing right or not. Akshay, okay. What is Akshay saying? Happens when startup ideas are for solving some consumer problem. All startup ideas are solving consumer problems only. Startups exist not because they have a great idea. Startups exist because they're solving one or some consumer problem. Okay, so that is there. That's the sole reason for them to exist, that they're solving a problem. Having a great idea is a vanity project, right? Somebody's going to pay you to create your vanity project. No, you're solving somebody's problem. That somebody is the consumer. I think that is something is one really needs to look at. So this is where one needs to really look at. So when you are creating your own stuff, a bit of research helps, right? I'm a big votary of doing research of all kinds and creating a system or a pattern which emerges out, gives you insights, right? So when you are trying to do that, find out failures. Find out failures that which was not what Anil is saying is not a sweet spot. What really happened to some of these market failures? Films bomb, go to market, they have great pricing, everything bomb, right? Maybe content was wrong, maybe other strategy was wrong, maybe they were reaching out something else, right? What happens to so many of new ideas and so many of new apps which keep coming up every single day? What happens to so many of new FMCG products which keep coming up? All right. What happens to the so many of different versions of automobile which keeps coming up? Everything is set, but they still fail somewhere. Why does it happen? Is the question we have to ask. Because in asking questions, you will find execution is the key. Sandeep has got very, very pertinent point. I agree with you, right? But even before we get into execution itself, identifying what is the steps for execution itself, which is your strategy, will also need to be titrated. And unless you execute it, how would you know whether? So this is a tricky situation, you know. unless you do it, how would you know whether it will succeed or not? And how much care can you take in doing certain things is the question one really, really needs to look at. So maybe there are certain things one could look at. Maybe you've done everything else, but sometimes the design and the UI of a brand are great. Sometimes they are not. You've done everything else, but not necessarily in a digital first world we live in. For example, sometimes you fail in getting traction from the consumers because somewhere in your beta testing, great results did not come out and you hastily launched it. So a half-cooked product goes out in the market and ends up not finding that traction which is there. Akshay is saying, identify the consumer problem, proper research, prototype, test, marketing, scale up. Yeah, these are the steps everybody takes into account. But within each of these steps are the questions you have to find out, the challenges you always have, that are you doing it right? Is the market ready for this? Is the product at the right time or not? All those things will come up. Some succeed initially and then fail. Jeep Compass in India or Thar sales are already slowing down. So yeah, after initial, product was accepted by people, but then as the market research, market feedback keeps coming up, more people start talking about it, more people find the performance big. And both of these examples, Captain Dhankar, are for performance vehicles. And if the performance is, expectation is this, and the performance is not matching up to that particular expectation, probably sometimes after initial success. So it's not a T20, right? So as we've seen, business is a test match. And as recently concluded, GABA test has told us that you will get bruised, you'll get a hostile environment, and you will have your team members leaving you in between. And that happens with startups a lot of times because you have invested heart, soul, sweat, money, but not necessarily all your team members will have the similar buy-in, and they would be looking at maybe making an early exit, or maybe they fall by the side, and then you have to reinvent the whole thing again. So that was, again, challenges which come out. So a quick quiz question for you guys. So what's the brand we're talking about here? I have put a gray mark in front of the brand. So anybody? Which is the brand here? Anyone? What is the brand? Aya, kuch answer aya. Hero, Maruti, no. Captain Saab, no. Yeah, ideally, this is a very logical way to go about it, right? That, okay, we're talking about this. Any other? Okay, Akshay, credit card. You are closer. Say the name. It's there in the word you have used. Akshay, say the name. Anybody? Before Akshay is like almost close by. Yeah, something has come. Cred, very good, Irfan. Great. Right. So content builds the brand, and this is how cheekily, very, very interestingly, they've yes, Sandeep and Irfan, great answers. Akshay, you are very much there. Yes, So this is a lot of time. So what I will do is that, I will start with some very interesting examples about how some of these brands, mostly in the digital space and other spaces, have tried to build it. Both brand building and the go-to-market had gone parallelly in that particular sense. So a lot of times in today's world, irrespective of your product, and irrespective of your structure, the parallel ecosystem becomes equally important. So whether it's a product, it could have been an FMCG product, or so the product story, the brand around it, the person who is creating that particular brand, that particular person's story. So there is no boundaries left today, whether consumers are buying stuff from you or you as a company trying to reach out to your consumers and map the consumer journey. Every point, every element, and every aspect has become very, very important. Earlier, you would have built a product team. You would have, of course, a marketing team. You would have a sales team. You would have a distribution network, and so on and so forth. Today, you have to look at every single point and think through it. So even if, for example, you're selling an FMCG product, the story you build is equally important, right? There is a German brand which is taken head on with Dove and HUL. What's the brand? Somebody can, I'm just completely forgetting that brand. They've really done a great job in creating that. What's the brand called? Anybody? Completely forgetting its name. Just taking a fight with HUL in the PH part of it, and this completely forgetting the name of the brand. No, not Henkel. No, not Henkel. This is a brand of soap which is fighting a battle on the PH side of it with HUL. That's great ads have just come up, and they're taking up Dove directly. They're taking up Lifebuoy directly on the face. So while they are preparing the distribution network, which is a mighty HUL, levers के साथ में distribution पे fight करना सिर्फ ITC के बस की बात है और किसी के बस की बात नहीं इस country में. Purely on the physical distribution structure, they sell through close to around 3 million retail outlets, But at the same time, how do you do trade marketing with them? At the same time, you're also building up a great content story through your advertising, which is on your face advertising, and directly ambushing the biggest brand in that space. I'll come back to you guys on that brand. It's a brilliant. One of my ex-students has been creating the advertising for it. Their advertising agency is called The Womb, and Suresh Khabia is the creative guy behind this and doing something very, very interesting. Yes, Sebamed. Yes, thank you. Sebamed, yes, Anil, thank you. So Sebamed is the brand which is taking up head on. If you look at their advertising strategy, their retail strategy. So for example, today you go out and ask in the grocery store and some of the other places, it's an expensive product, by the way, by 3x or 3.5, but they've also done the trade marketing very well in terms of the Kirana Wala is pushing Sebamed, which means they've done the margin structures right. They're fighting it head on with the Doves and the Lifebuoys of the world and the mightiest of the levers. So at one end, they're setting up the conversations going into that direction. Ab Sabun ka pH as a conversation point, I think nobody had looked at it. People have always looked at whether it's beauty, whether it's fairness, whether it's soft to my skin and all those kind of things. And they've suddenly come up with one scientific fact and create a narrative around it, and then building the whole content, which is, doing in that particular sense. So that's something which is, I found it very, very exciting and interesting. And I'm going to study a lot more about it, about how it pans out in longer run for them. So I'm watching them very, very carefully, and anybody who is, so it's a challenger brand come up and it's fighting the mainstream brand, and how do they go about creating it something very interesting. Today, with this generation, and I teach the 17-year-olds nowadays, I've realized that they really have a witty bone, which my generation, and Professor Damani and others, we were more sarcastic, but I think today's generation is a lot more on your face. So the conversation which gets built today are also little different in that sense, and very irreverent. Earlier, the conversations were not very irreverent. They were little serious and little other kinds of stuff. So look at the humor being built here, right? Can you pick up the brand which is there in the first one? Anyone? Can you pick up the brand? And they're conversing, right? They're picking it up, the humor from social media, and then they're responding to certain things in a particular way. And the brands are having very interesting humor within themselves. Twitter wars are amazing, and banter happens, which is there, and then that straight away attracts the younger generation to look at it. So anybody who can tell me the first brand which is saying we are actually delivering groceries now, aap apna dekh lo. The first one. Swiggy, no. You're closer. Yes, Irfan, bang on, boss. अभी कुछ एक क्या बोलते हैं वो hamper होता ना, quiz hamper, I would have given it to you, but we'll come to that. So yes, the first one is Dunzo. What is the second one? What is the second one? Yeah, Akash, the first one is Dunzo. Yes, good. What is the second one? Anyone? Second one is, anyone? Quick. एक आंसर आया कहीं से, रुको जरा देखता हूँ. Amazon, no. Big Basket, no. The second one is Zomato. So wit has come up in our daily lives, and the younger generation, the Gen Zs and the millennials have a something to go about it and discussing. So that is something which is becoming very, very interesting in identifying a particular brand and unique in that sense. So that is something which is getting picked up. And the third trend which I see, so I'm telling you about the trends. The first trend is content. The second trend is about wit and content. And the third one is about you guys, So you are, as a founder, some of you happen to be into startup spaces and others. You as a founder is, pehle kya hota tha, founder would be in the not in the forefront, not on the face, somewhere in the back end, working silently, very hard, and others. But today, founders, I have seen it, and mostly on the LinkedIn and Twitter, founders have started coming out a lot more. They are the new age celebrities today. So they're engaging with their target audiences, with other network people, with other founders, other companies, other set of people, a lot more openly and showcasing. And I would assume that a lot of more is not just talk. A lot of it is genuine. So for example, Harsha Kakeri is a founder and CEO of, there is a brand called Designbot, UX UI, So it's interesting, see that the conversation this girl would have picked up in so this girl called Shreya Tiwari is telling that she has joined White Hat Junior as a product designer. And this other one is saying, okay, happy for you, congratulations, creating a 101. So tomorrow, this Shreya Tiwari leaves the place and probably joins this particular organization. They're having a relationship going on. Similarly, Akshay Chaturvedi, is somebody who is part of this gang. There's a Rahul Mathur who's also there. Just a sec, let me tell you with my notes I've written. These guys are working in certain other organizations and working. Bima Pay, Rahul Mathur is with Bima Pay, Akshay Chaturvedi. So the founders today are a lot more active. Founders are also building network. Founders are also using same situations going out and presenting their own personalities and trying to resonate everything around in terms of a go-to-market. Now, I'll give an example. So when my own team reaches out to potential students at Flame or some other places, whatever, many times I've requested them that I will go personally myself and speak. So my outreach team can easily go and talk and present their facts, and they're a very capable bunch. But then I have always invested my time, effort, and energy in speaking with my target audience directly. So if they can get an access to a dean, for example, they can ask a lot more candid questions, and they can ask, they get a human face, they get a direct face while everything is being set up by the team there. I think that helps. That tremendously brings your own credibility out in the market. And you are always, there is a two-edged sword as well, because if you end up doing something bad, the brand gets like what is this housing.com situation, right? Many years ago, there's a guy called Rahul Yadav, brilliant kid from IIT Bombay, dropped out, created a great product called Housing, but then ended up creating some social media ruckus with the promoters and the investors and others, and ended up taking and tanking the brand. So it works both ways in that particular sense. But this is a trend. This is the three trends. The content is coming up, the wit is coming up, the founders are going out and reaching out and building the brand parallelly while they take the brand as a go-to-market in that particular sense. So that's happening. Now, this is one of my favorite examples of a very small offline place called Origin Bistro in Pune. It's at Pashan Link Road. It's a small bistro, open. It's not non-AC, but anybody who's from Pune, in my group here, in audiences, do check it out. It's set up by a chef called Suchit Save and a bunch of other founders who are from marketing in other areas. But Suchit is the person who looks at everything with a microscope. He puts every meal they serve through his expert eye. He never cuts corners. And I've been his customers for 3 years. And anybody I've spoken to can swear by the quality of food he builds. When the pandemic hit, and slowly they were able to start some cloud kitchen around it. Now I think they're opening up. He himself would go and deliver it to the patrons who'd been, eating from his restaurants, and keep the conversation going. So I think consistency, quality, and service build the brand, and the founder's passion and commitment to even a small order of 500 rupees or 300 rupees, the commitment is still there, still at that order. You're not looking at the order size and then putting up your differential behavior to that particular person. किसी ने 1500 का ऑर्डर दिया तो मैं उसको अच्छे से ट्रीट करूंगा, उसके पास जाऊंगा, 500 का दिया तो मेरे आदमी को भेज दूंगा, नहीं. Depending on how you go about it. But I think this is how these guys have been able to survive, while many others restaurants in that street have vanished because the patrons left them when they didn't have to come to that particular place. But I think Suchit and his team with Abhinav and others have been able to do a great job. So it's very, very passionate brand. I love them, the way they do things, in that particular sense. So I have a question which is coming up. Scaling up, yes. Dhankar Saab, I have a very interesting question to everybody. What do you mean by scaling up? And does it require everything to scale up? So your measurement of any business, why should it be scale up? You could be small, beautiful, and profitable and successful. Why should everything be mapped against scale up? Yes. So a lot of times, many times I give certain exotic examples. Same questions come from seasoned business people and saying that, what about scaling up? Why? Why do you need to scale up? Small can be beautiful and profitable. Revenues are not profits. Bottom line is still okay for these guys because they're small and they still manage it. So I think the success is about how do you go about looking at certain things. And while it's important that, yeah, some need to. So it's a call, right? I think it's a call a founder can take. That, okay, I don't think I can control certain things and hence I will not scale up, right? So there's another question which is coming up. No, there's another one. Okay, no, right. Yeah, so I think we can all question the wisdom in many of these industry practices, and anytime we are measuring or analyzing a particular business, maybe a certain set of businesses. So for example, one of the critical questions you will always have about businesses which have scaled up, right? And one of the constant growls you will have on them, that they no longer care for their customers. When they were smaller, they loved their customers, but now bade ho gaye hain, to ab manage nahi hota hai, to consistency hai nahi, and then you go all over the place. So I think this is the balance people, any business, for example, really need to figure it out, that how big will you grow when you lose the pulse of the market and you are away from your customers, so that you're no longer there to even hear out what they are saying, or maybe not understand what they are not saying. So I think, so how do you go about create a viable go-to-market strategy for any of these businesses in India, for example, because India is a crazy country, 1.5 billion people of all shapes, size, kinds, ideologies, religion, races, idiosyncrasies, socio-economic background, and so on and so forth. So India is like 1,000 countries in itself. And how do you go about doing that? At the same time, socio-culturally, we're changing, at one angle, we are looking at becoming a lot more similar. At another side, in certain businesses, we really have to find out the differences. So how do we go about creating structures which will look at consumer behavior? Consumer loyalty is getting eroded. Consumer brand promiscuity is rising. People are testing, trying, looking at multiple sets of brands, and no longer they would want to be very happy with a Nike and they're all done. Today, they are creating their own stuff with promoter-driven, influencer-driven brands are coming up. So I was having a conversation with my students in my class recently, and I was asking them, these are all 17-year-olds, and I really interact with them to know more and learn more rather than teaching them. I learn more from them. And I asked them a very simple question, that in your generation today, you don't care about celebrities anymore, but you focus a lot more on the influencers or micro-influencers. And I asked them why. And they said it's a relatability. We are able to relate with them a lot more. And hence, we are able to engage with them one-on-one. They are also genuine with us when they talk and interact with us. And hence, there is a new trend which is coming up in terms of the brands being created by some of these guys who have already made a customer base through the content, and now they sell merchandise. They're millionaires. They're selling merchandise because of the fact that it's like Baba Ramdev effect. I love that example. Baba Ramdev created his customers first and created product later. He had one service called yoga. He got dedicated set of customers, couple of millions. And those customers ended up becoming his go-to market, because some of them ended up becoming his channel, which is retail channel to sell. And then whatever Baba Ramdev had to offer in terms of Dant Kanti to soap, shampoo, Kutte Ka Biscuit, Baba Ramdev was able to sell. And within no time, he had a business of 10,000 crores. Why? Because distribution was sorted and customers were any which way his own evangelists, promoters, customers were marketeers for his own brand, and customers were also retailers for his own brand. So I think that's a great example. And this is where in the internet space, influencers are doing it, because once people are hooked up to them. I have a student who's like great influencer in his age group. He's got some 260,000 followers on Instagram and others. And people follow him. People love what he does. And today he starts creating his own merchandise, his own products, his own services. Probably, I'm sure a lot of his customer base will like it because he's already created a dedicated set of stuff. So how do we go about creating an interesting idea, build that idea to find a white space? Now, that's a question for all of you. That how do you find that white space in whichever businesses you happen to be in? And then how do you go about then creating a product and service around it? So a very recent example comes to me is in insurance tech sector. Some very interesting, right from Policy Bazaar to others have come up already, and CoverFox, and of course Echo. Echo is run by my own student Varun Dua. But there's one white space, one guy called Abhishek Poddar had been able to create in the group insurance segment, health insurance segment. And I've worked in many organizations, and many of you would have seen it. When it comes to personal, individual insurances and others, it's okay. Retail insurance is fine. But when it comes to group health insurance, a lot of times the market exists, but it is not completely. Ye nahi cover hota, wo nahi cover hota, parents nahi cover hote, sari cheezein. A lot of things keep on happening. So in this particular segment, the very interesting example I've found is Plum by Abhishek Poddar and his team, and they reach out to the customers directly. They build the brand online. Even if they meet up one particular single customer, it's good. They develop the channel, develop the pipeline funnel, and then finally able to convert that into business for themselves. I think that is something which is critical. So all of us in any business, whether in education space business or any other business, there is another example is in edtech space being created by, now this is common, but I think around 10 years back, this was created by TalentEdge when they started looking at a white space which was not fulfilled by business schools, but industry needed that. But nobody had time, effort, energy to come to the classroom and do it and all that. So they created a space where they partnered. In a conventional space, business schools wouldn't have been in a position to develop and deliver them because they didn't have the technology. They had the know-how, but they were also bound by the norms of UGC and IIMs and MHRD and others. And at the same time, they didn't have the technology. So these guys were able to come. And today, Upgrad is doing the same. And Great Learning is doing the same. But I think in that space, TalentEdge was good to start with. And now everybody is taken up. So it's pretty good. There's a good space to be in. Now Lambda has taken that into a completely different domain where, and I love Lambda model. If you've not seen it, check it out. And this was something which I always believed in, that student debt is a huge concern in India today. It has always been a concern in the US, wherein a majority of students are unable to go to college and take their degrees, because they have to pay the money upfront. Now, what Lambda has done is that it's an online in the computer science space, especially in the coding and others, is that if you get an admission at Lambda, you don't pay the fee. So you'd learn, which means the barrier to learn is being taken away. And then they try and help you in the tech space itself, get you job. These are two things, right? You learn, then you start to earn. And they have a deal that when you start earning, you pay them back of their starting salary, of the percentage of a starting salary over a period of time, 6 months or something like that. So it's a great model. I hope Indian universities over a period of time can also take the tuition out and probably find a way to go about it. So far, we've not been able to, in offline space, we've not been able to find this. But we need to work together to find out that, so that access to education is made available and there is not and the fees, for example, the tuition doesn't become a barrier, is to look at. So what really is being seen today is that the stages keep happening. So you parallelly keep working on building the brand, finding the go-to-market strategy, finding the product market fit, find the unit economics, and then slowly try and see if you can get into the growth path. So that is something. But brand building is a continuous process. It's no longer one day you build a particular brand and then you think that it will work, because it's always simultaneously is happening parallelly. Because each day your brand grows, each day a brand assumes an interesting new meaning to your target audiences. While as the brand grows, for example, your ability to look at your channel partners and market partners and sales partners to convert them into converting your product into sales is something which keeps on happening. Earlier, we had this that let's create a brand identity. So a lot of startups I work with keep grappling with what should our name be, what should our logo be, what should our tagline be. And I keep helping them because I do a little bit of advertising. But I always ask them this question, that flip the question in saying that who is the target audience and what is your imagery in their minds. You might be very happy creating a brand logo, design, punchline, language, tone, style, whatever, but how are they seeing you? So what is your reputation in their minds? What is their impression and your impression in their minds? What is what you are saying and what are they believing or not? And a lot of times they are little different than each other. Okay, because you are not your customer. Your customer is different. So when you start thinking that, no, I understand my customer because I come from a similar demographic and psychographic profile, I think sometimes we kind of lose it. But having said that, all of us believe, and I think we should try and internalize this, that branding means consistency. Every time, like McDonald's, right? Everywhere you go, fries taste the same. The messaging has to be very clear at one glance, people. It shouldn't be too complicated. And then the reasoning why somebody should buy your brand versus others need to be compelling enough. It's just not because it is cheaper or because I'm saying so, and it doesn't work that way. I think this is the biggest challenge in creating a compelling, clear, and consistent brand experience and fulfill the expectation. So simpler ideas, define brand's values, unique brand identity, creating a personality is a create. John, I was working with another edtech brand, and we thought let's create a very unique personality for that. So it's into coding space and teaching kids as well as adults. And I said everybody loves creating artifacts and an archetype around it. So we created a superhero led. So you be your superhero is the theme, and then we ended up creating a model of Captain Tesseract, and then it has its own set of people, and there's a imagery around it, and that's why it comes out to be. Everything is. There's nothing called digital marketing. Everything is marketing using everything else, so it's very much embedded. It's no longer that I also have a digital marketing budget and I also have an offline budget. It was so 1980s, it's no longer exist. Brand delivery is always greater than brand promise. So what you promise and what you end up giving and delivery to it will always supersede, because if your promises are not met. And I've, one of my mentors in my life was Dr. Shrikant from SP Gen, very, very famous guy, very senior institutional builder. And when I went to set up the Dubai campus for SP Gen, a lot of things were not ready then. And I was a 28-year-old, and I was like cribbing to him, saying that, sir, ye ready nahi hai, wo ready nahi hai. Aapne hame yahan bhej diya to create a completely new campus, new program, new things, new school, and in a Middle East, and we didn't even understand all those things. And he said, a lot of times there is a limit to which you can plan, which means after a while, as the Captain Dhankar was also saying, you have to execute and figure it out, boss, sahi hai ki nahi. And which means speed. You can keep perfecting it over a period of time, because trial and error and pivot and another round and versions and versions and versions. So you're never perfect. Roger Federer is perfect. He's still perfecting his back end. You can say he's God at back end, right? But he's still perfecting it. So speed of execution, sometimes getting into the market and trying and testing out, getting feedback, quick prototyping is very, very critical. Last point about your customers, and this was I was talking in today as well in my class, is about the conventional method of homogeneous segments of classifying them demographically, psychographically, attitudinal belief is changing. Each of your customers has a different persona. Each of these personas have a different way, even if they're buying the same product or the same service, the user journey or the consumer journey is different. How do you map it, either offline or online, and link to this to them is important. So each persona has a user journey, unique. How do you go about it? So your touch points today are immense: internet, mobile, email, SMS, kiosk, voice, social, digital, live, face-to-face, on the store, in the store. So the conventional model of IDA is now elaborated and expanded a lot more. Pehle hota tha awareness, interest, desire, action. Now today it's awareness, consideration, purchase, experience, and advocacy. Today, a lot of brands move into advocacy side of it, and that's why cult branding happens. So this is, and each of these will have touch points, right? And each journey has got different. So this is just a graphic to explain this to you. But in 4 lines, because I'm a poet, let me explain this model to you of awareness, consideration, purchase, experience, and advocacy. So हिंदी में है, आप लोगों के लिए मजा आएगा आपको. एक मार्केटिंग की कविता है ये. ठीक है, और ये रिलेशनशिप में भी आता है. सो ब्रांड्स के साथ आप रिलेशनशिप कैसे बनाओगे? सो इट्स वेरी सिंपल. जो देखा न गया तो सोचा न गया, जो देखा न गया तो सोचा न गया, जो सोचा न गया तो समझा न गया, सोचा न गया तो समझा न गया. अब समझे ही नहीं तो दिल कैसे देते, अब समझे ही नहीं तो दिल कैसे देते, और जब दिल ही नहीं मिला तो रिश्ता कैसा. So the whole consumer marketing is all about creating that long-term relationship, because then you create the lifetime value of the consumer. Builds around it and understanding your consumers and developing a relationship and getting into their consideration set, ensuring that from that consideration set they buy and all those ones. So sometimes we use reason, sometimes emotion, and both are needed to do that. It all depends on where are you using what. You know, so for example, if you look at conventional brand building approaches, you find out certain things are product-led, certain things are emotion-led, benefit-led, certain things are slice of life-led, and how do you go about creating it is something you really have to work out. It's said enough, I'm repeating it. Content is, in today's world, whether it's online, offline, any business, the story around it and relationship is critical. Then how do you go about distributing that product, service, is important, but you cannot do any of these if you don't know your consumers, if you don't know the data, if you don't know what's really happening. And that's why I think these are privacy issues are coming up. The Googles, the big tech firms are owning up. Nothing is free. They own up your data, and hence they're able to push anything and everything around the world to you guys. And as a retailer, as a marketer, you really have to get data of your intended target audience to understand them better. Small data is needed to create consumer insights, and big data are needed to create macro structures. And then big data is also needed to develop a unique individual persona-led, consumer journey-led marketing stuff. And hence, of course, for that, you really need to build your online presences in a manner that it drives SEO and PRP rankings. Because the moment everything people want to know is type, ye pata lagao. Siri, tell us. Google, tell us. So अगर उसको नहीं पता चला first 10 में अगर आप नहीं आए, तो भूल जाइए कि कोई आपको देखने भी वाला है. And hence, the focus should be on customer experience management across touch points. This is critical. And let's look at the last one, wherein you look at PR, radio, word of mouth, online, digital, to physical touch points, to store, to call center, website. So awareness, consideration, purchase, service, loyalty. So you see it. पहले क्या होता था? Fill it, shut it, forget it. आप आए, आपने कंज्यूमर्स को अट्रैक्ट कर दिया, प्रोडक्ट को पुश कर दिया, लेके चले गए, भूल गए, अब कोई मतलब नहीं है। अब ऐसा नहीं है। चाहे आपने ऑफलाइन से खरीदा हो, ऑनलाइन से खरीदा हो, आपने सर्विस ऑनलाइन करी हो या ऑफलाइन करी हो, कहीं पे भी आप छूट नहीं सकते हो. So you really have to ensure that all across that touch point, till the time the guy is giving you review and talking consistently and sending other set of people, referrals are coming up. You will have to track this guy, their journey, ensuring that this happens with us. So I think that is something, because it's an era of promiscuity, right? Customer loyalty does not lead to customer, satisfaction doesn't lead to loyalty. Loyalty doesn't need to lead to commitment anymore. So I think you really need to keep on doing this consistently across touch points, and digital as well as physical. All right. So, and then of course, brand building and performance marketing, which means sales revenue coming in at the same time, larger brand building are both equally important. I have seen many organizations, typically in digital space, they work a lot more on performance marketing, completely fail to build the brand. So when they get into valuation, when they get into many other things, they realize that they're losing out, because a moment's notice the customer moves to others, because उसके brand salience ही नहीं है, आपके दिमाग में loyalty नहीं है, उसके लिए तो नहीं होगा. High cost of acquisition, high lifetime value भी होती है, but performance marketing, low cost of acquisition but low lifetime value भी होती है, because they can completely move to other side of it. So last but not the least, it's a cliche term, but I think build a brand that all stakeholders love, right from your customers to your employees to your own team to society, to your board members, to larger stakeholders. You need to create a brand which everybody loves and talks about. So, and more importantly, last but not the least, that your journey as a startup is not an end. This is the reward. Your journey is the reward. That you succeed, not succeed, you succeed a bit, doesn't matter. I think that's the reward itself. The journey itself is the reward for all of us who have gone through this. And I continue to work with a lot of youngsters in this space, live through their own lives, and I realize that it's very, very rewarding. Money automatically will come over a period of time. Some would succeed, some would not, but then what the hell? You've got one life to live and one life to experiment all this. So go ahead and do it, and don't be afraid. So last, for all of you guys, dream big, do interesting things in life. We're all collections of experiences. And आप लोगों के लिए 2 लाइनें कि सपनों को उड़ने के लिए हवाई जहाज का टिकट नहीं लगता. सपनों को उड़ने के लिए हवाई जहाज का टिकट नहीं लगता, बस पलकों को उम्मीदों के पंख चाहिए. और ख्याल पकाने के चूल्हे कम नहीं, नई सोच के कोयलों को चिंगारी चाहिए. सपनों को उड़ने के लिए हवाई जहाज का टिकट नहीं लगता, बस पलकों को उम्मीदों के पंख चाहिए. I think we'll have some time, 5 minutes for the question and answer. Professor Damani, if you please go ahead.
Yeah, wow, that was Professor Dwarika in his typical branding style, brand Dwarika. Always, whenever we listen to your session, it is having completeness and clarity. And your sessions are always full of content, provocation, simplicity, logic, examples, data, and of course the poetic touch.
So if you have few questions, Professor Damani, please ask me, and then we'll see if audiences will have 1 or 2 questions.
Yes, absolutely. So fortunately, because of a provocation, a lot of those questions were already answered. But in case there are any more, participants can put them in the Q&A box. And we have a little bit of time, just about 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes.
Capture them if at all they're there.
There's something has come. Okay, let's see. Yes, of course. Yes, of course. We'll share the slides. Don't worry. Knowledge is Vidya Dadati Vinayam. ये सब share करने के लिए बांध के रखेंगे हम लोग तो कुछ होगा नहीं. I've also spoken to many students, and and CMOs and got their ideas and thoughts. And this none of it. This is my original knowledge I've acquired through listening to people, talking to people, doing things, and probably crystallize it for you guys so that it's all there. So yes, of course we could do that. That's not a problem. Just share everything. Everything is for sharing only. That's one question. I don't think anybody else got any other question left.
I think all the questions already answered in your interactive session.
No, I think it was so boring. Nobody wanted to ask question. Ki bhag jao yaar. Okay, Mr. Mahapatra. Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah, Adarsh is good. He's a good student. Yeah. You're all kind, Dhankar Saab. Okay. I think let's wrap it up if we don't argue.
There's a question which has come up.
Yeah, there's good. One question has come.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a very good question, Mohan. And same brand is perceived differently by different persona. How do we handle? Now, the question is that each of these people who are seeing you differently, are they seeing you very chalk and cheese? Or do they have different expectations? Or they are perceiving you very, very differently? So you cannot have one size fit all answer to that. So identify, it's a cost intensive exercise to understand that particular customer. But at the same time, you do have a certain sets of products and services. You try and map up to their requirements better. If you are a shoe company and you're selling all kinds of shoes, for example, or you're a panwala who's selling all kinds of pan, for example, every set of people would have different expectations from you, different kinds of things they will like within your portfolio. And then the only thing what you need to do is that map to their expectations, their requirements to what you have. Or if you don't have this, how do you make it available over a period of time? But having said that, I am a big believer that we should be very, very honest with our customers. If you don't have a thing, we can't deliver, say no. Secondly, don't put up over expectations and under delivery. This is the thing which I've always lived through this credo in my life, that under expectation over delivery karo, over expectation under delivery nahi karna chahiye. And hence if you can't fulfill that, don't commit. Today hota kya hai, customer acquisitions karne ke liye hum log bahut bade waade kar lete hain. I think White Hat Junior is a good example. It's a bad example to look at it in that particular sense. When you create an hype around your brand so much and your delivery actually ends up becoming very poor. And then when people question you, you start harassing them. That's the worst thing anybody could have done. I normally don't take brand names, but I think that's something which leaves you. Is a good brand, created a good market and edtech in that space for kids and others. But I think the last few actions have left purely as an outsider, objective outsider. I think left a lot more. From industry leader, they should have done much better. Okay. So Tanvi Malhotra has a question. Mahapatra Sahab, I will send that to others. Don't worry. I'll send that to you. So what is the biggest advice you could give to someone who wants to set up a startup but is unable to determine the right time to go for a pen and paper concept to actually stepping out in the market? I will leave this question to Professor Damani. I think you are a better person to answer this. Please, Professor Damani, this is for you.
I think we should not put too much logic into it. Business is a lot with emotions. Go-to-market and branding has a lot to do connecting with emotions. So you step out the minute you are ready. Forget your pen and paper. Just jump into the swimming pool. And of course, you need to learn swimming. So you should have your safety belts with you. But at the same time, your advisors, your mentors are more valuable. So just jump into it and keep going.
See, I tell you something. The biggest advice is don't take one. If you feel you know, a lot of times people come from different perspectives and different places. It's your life, Tanvi, and yes, people can give you advices and a roadmap and others, but end of the day, till the time you do it, you would not know how would you succeed or not. Nobody can live your life and take decisions on your behalf. End of the day, we are all product and of our own decisions, and we suffer or enjoy the consequences of our decisions. So, and it's an information asymmetry world we live in, right? So you will never have the best plan. You will never have the best perfect thing. There's nothing called perfect in this world. You as you go along, you figure it out, do things, find out, test, try, fail, get up, test, try, fail, get up. Maybe you make big. Some places, 80% of the times you don't make big, but what the heck, you know, you still live a life worth living. You know, so that's something which I would say that. So yes, so what happens is, Mr. Mahapatra, is you create a media plan, you create a plan and distribution wherein you put up your resources, you allocate your resources through physical or digital in a particular way. Today, you don't have a choice, you know, because your customers are present everywhere. Your customers are present in digital world, physical world, in between world, they're everywhere. So you have to have some touch point somewhere with them. And how do you allocate resources? So your customers are found more in digital spaces, you spend more money there. So you allocate your resources. At the same time, if your customers are also wanting an offline presence or otherwise, you also have to spend that kind of money there. So I think it's all about balancing it out and doing that in that sense. So I think, Professor Damani, we have overshot the time by 4 minutes. So questions are done. So let's close it.
Yes,
so thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. As usual, with the stamped and brand Professor Dwarika, we had one more exciting session. And over to Anju for the closing comments.
Well, thank you so much, both professors, for your time. I think it was a very interesting session as well. Guys, next up, we have a very different session under the Founders Talk banner, which will be on the life-changing experience at Flame University. The session would be delivered by Dr. Virender Sharma, who's been, I think, part of the Flame ecosystem for its entirety, I think, and he's the best person to sort of let you in on what you can expect once you are part of the Flame ecosystem as well. So we look forward to meeting you there on the next Wednesday, that's January 27th at 6:30. For today's session recording, please do visit the Flame University YouTube channel by tomorrow. We should have the recording up there for everyone's access and viewing. Thank you so much.